Good morning, Nabila. Happy to meet you. I'm just introducing everybody that
Very good
we
one.
met. Yes. So we met Nabila, this wonderful young lady, at Lagos Students Studies Association conference in July.
No, June, actually.
It was June. Okay, so you have a better memory than me.
Mhm.
June. And yes, I was at the time presenting a paper on Christianity in Africa, and I happened to run into a number of very amazingly talented, very wise young Muslim scholars, and Nabila was one of them. And she gave me an amazing discourse on youth, not only Muslim youth, but both Christian and Muslim youth, and the challenges and the issues in terms of stereotypes and issues in terms of really bridge building between the two groups. And just she really kind of brought this perspective that I had not been aware of, especially as somebody who I've been interacting on the interfaith side, but not as much amongst my own people, amongst fellow Africans. So we are two fellow Africans from two different coasts and representing two different religions, but with just a combined heart and desire for both our faith to grow closer together. So Nabila, I wanted to just start with saying, just if you could share a little bit about who you are, your background, where you grew up, and what shaped your worldview.
Okay. All right. It was actually nice to meet you too, Mr. Philip. Thank you so much. You've been an amazing person since I've known you since June. So it's been amazing knowing you. And I'm Nabila Yusuf. That's my full name, Nabila Yusuf. I'm from the northern part of Nigeria, not central specifically. I'm from Kogi State. And I'm a young scholar, 23 years old young scholar just pursuing my master's degree right now. But I was born and bred in Abuja, Nigeria, which is the central city of Nigeria. And I schooled in northern Nigeria. That's the core northern part of Nigeria, northwest Nigeria. I had my university education in northern Nigeria. That's the core northern part of Nigeria, Kano State, Nigeria. As we all know, Nigeria has six geopolitical zones, and we have the north central, the northwest, and the northeast. That's for the northern part of Nigeria. And I'm from the north central part of Nigeria. That's my state of origin and my initial background, but I schooled in the northwest, which we call the core north part of Nigeria, which is predominantly a Muslim state. And the north central part of Nigeria, where I come from and where I grew up, it's much more not really a core northern part of Nigeria, and it was not predominantly a Muslim area. But I've spent almost 7 to 8 years right now in the core northern part of Nigeria, which is predominantly a Muslim state, which is Kano State, Nigeria. And growing up in Abuja, Nigeria, born and bred in Abuja, Nigeria, it was this central cosmopolitan area that accommodated everyone. And there was a mix of both Muslims and Christians, and people actually live their life. It's much more of an area that thrives economically. They just want to make ends meet. And I got to see how Muslims and Christians relate very peacefully, kind of like segregation or issues like that. It was much more of just striving for their daily lives and trying to get what could actually help them in life. So Muslims and Christians, they work hand in hand together to just get their life going, you know. But when I found myself in Kano State, Nigeria, which is the core northern part of Nigeria, I noticed this is a predominantly Muslim state. And there is a part of this part of Nigeria that have only Christians living in those parts. That's, I find that place comfortable. Just one local government in the whole state. That's in Kano State. It's dominated by Christians. And in my school, Bayero University Kano, where I've been for so many years, we also have Christian students. So even though Kano State, Nigeria, is predominantly a Muslim state, it has also accommodated Christians a
Mm.
lot. And we have so many Christian students at Bayero University Kano. They have their churches inside the school. They 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 are not forced to wear hijabs or cover their hair, although the only rule is to dress decently. That is the rule. And you are not to break that rule. Just make sure you're dressed decently and appropriately for an educational environment. That is the rule. So they are allowed to practice their own faith in the school because this is a federal university. It is not a Sharia university. It's a federal university of Nigeria, but it's in Kano State and it is still predominantly Muslim students, Muslim lecturers. You hardly even get to a department where you find a Christian lecturer because the state is predominantly Muslim. It is just like a Sharia state. But it has also, I saw that the state also accommodates Christians. And there is this good interfaith relationship to some extent in the educational environment. So, but when you step out of the educational environment, and the only time there can be conflict between the people is when you don't follow the culture or the norms that you see the people, like the norms that shape the people's life
Mm,
in the society. For example, in Abuja, Nigeria, that is not central part of Nigeria, this capital city. Most people there are coming to hustle, and it's not really based off religion and all. So it's more of like economical, just life and all of that. So you don't see religion shaping people's relation and activities and all of that. So
right.
you're free to do whatever you want to do. But in Kano State, northern Nigeria, if you're coming in and you are not at that local government area that I say was kind of like given to the Christians and the immigrants and like whoever is coming from outside, like you can be free to do whatever you do there. For example, in Abuja, anywhere a lady can wear a bomb shot and walk
Mm,
all around.
all
You
right.
know, no one cares actually about that.
Yeah.
So mixed both Muslims and Christians, they just know that that person is a Christian, and they just feel so. Dressing don't really matter there. But here, a Christian person would not want to walk round Kano State with specific type of dressing, both male and female. But the undeniable fact is that there are always locals around. Someone wearing something that is not used to the locals. Like when you wear something like that, you could get this reaction from the typical locals in the area because they are not used to that. They feel like, okay, this is immoral. This is not how we do our things here. So there may be cases of the people around, like the locals, fighting stuff like this when you come out in a way that they call inappropriate, you
Right.
know? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But when you find, but in the same state, like I said, there is a place given to them.
Yeah.
That is, like, we call that place Sabongeri.
Right.
That Sabongeri is the whole local government and is given to them. And you're free to do whatever you want there because the locals are not there and they don't
Right.
care about you. They don't really. So it's your place. So
Right.
if you can respect their own place, just
Hmm.
like when you go to Qatar or you go to Dubai and
Yeah.
you just feel like wearing the abayas just to fit into the environment, that is how Kano State is. So
Right.
when you're here, you try to just fit into the culture and no one has a problem with you
Mm,
at the end of the day. So I think Nigeria has a kind of is not a very bad interfaith relation.
yeah.
I think the only time the interfaith relation is bad, or what actually brings about this religious crisis and religious differences and all of that, is the politicians, you know, the
Right.
leaders, the politicians, society, corruption, politics. Let's just say politics, basically. The leaders try to turn religion, when they want to come for each other in a way. They use religion as a tool, knowing that Nigeria is a state that is not dominated by one religion, divided into two. We
Yeah.
have the southern part, we have the northern part. So they can bring in religion to kind of bring that violence, and they also try to use religion to when it comes to voting, I'm from the north. I want other people from the north to
Hmm.
vote for me. Hate the Christians, can they are not your religion and all, kind of those kind of because when everyone is united, they can actually make better decisions. So they try to ignite violence, religious violence.
Right.
So people think that the other religion are their enemies. So
You
I
know,
think when it comes to interfaith issues, a lot of the time the politicians play huge role in those things.
right. I want to talk a little bit more about how this experience has shaped what you want to study. And if you could talk a little bit more for a couple minutes about what you want to study, what you want to look into, what bridges your interest specifically.
Yeah, all right. So, someone who grew up in Abuja, Nigeria, like I gave my background about growing up in Abuja, then spending so many years in Kano also. My academic interests stemmed off from like my interest in women, first of all, in my gender. That was where my passion stemmed off from initially. My being interested in the women in my area, the women in my society, and also my experiences, you know, how I have seen women in Nigerian, or let me say African society, from what I have read also, because I've read lots of works from different scholars, um, Husseini Alido, Barbara Cooper. I've seen their works. I've seen how they've addressed issues that actually touch on gender. And I see there are some gaps, and women have to be included in lots of discourses. So my initial passion stemmed off from knowing much more about my gender, researching into my gender,
Mm,
and filling some gaps that are there, and also trying to work towards a much more inclusive community and society. So growing up, I my background, like I said, in Nigeria, in African society, women, I will not completely say they were sidelined or something like that, but it's still a struggle in this part of the world. The women finding their stance
mm,
and trying to also own big positions without being like chastised, using cultural, religious norms to try to beat it down to some extent. You know, a woman being limited. Oh, you should just get married, have children. That's
yeah,
what you're supposed to do as a lady, as a Muslim woman,
right,
because that is where you get your respect in this kind of society I am coming from. And I believe that is not what a woman is limited to. And I also have my knowledge about Islam, and Islam is not limiting anybody or limiting women to just being in the society, just being the full housewife, because even the wife of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khadija, she was an entrepreneur when she got married to the Prophet. So we've always had the history of women holding good position or being business women or just having something to do right from time. There's no time that women have been actually limited to being nothing.
right.
So we still have that issue in our society, that especially in the African society here,
Mm,
when you're still 100% judged that as a woman, you should just be at home, you should be married, you should just take care of the kids and all. And I am that person who believes that there should be more to that. And that is why I advocate. I work with NGOs, I do lots of advocacy,
right,
and it has also made me develop this big interest in researching more about women in my own society. There have been lots of women who have been researched about in Nigeria, in
mhm,
Africa, but
right,
I feel like in northern Nigeria here, there are still lots of things that have not been explored about northern Nigerian women, especially Muslim women in Nigeria. So when I mean northern Nigeria, because it's a predominantly Muslim state,
right.
so I mean Muslim women in Nigeria generally. Lots of things have not been explored about them. A lot of people still think they are actually sidelined. There are still community norms that have sidelined them to some
Mhm,
extent, but researching into them, knowing that actually things are not as bad, but there are still things we still have to work on to be
right,
better. So I have read lots of works, and my passion is coming from where I am coming from as a lady, as a woman, my lived experiences, and the passion to know much more about women in my
right,
society, explore, research about them, and show that there are some things that are missing, they should be included in some ways, and also advocate and impact the society after, like, making good research about the women.
right. Thanks. I love that.
That-
Actually, wanted because I know something. It just maybe reminded me. If you also share a little bit more about, I know your unique story in terms of how you launched your business and how you launched. We shared so much about how like, God helped you in terms of building that and how that
Yeah,
kind of gave you a unique place and some of the difficult experiences you had. Very passionate.
yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that. That's part of me. It's a very sensitive part, I'm going to call it. Although it's one of my experience that I appreciate so much and I love so much, but it's a very sensitive part of me. I hardly go over talking about it without tearing up
Mm,
sometimes. From my background, I didn't come from a family that is wealthy, that have everything put together and all of that. So my passion towards academia, towards impacting my society is strictly passion, you know? It
mm,
has been out of passion and all. And my family, although very loving people, they would have wanted to do everything for me and my siblings, actually. I come from that family who is not limiting me, like, for
mm,
anything, but they could not support in the way that they want to because of the financial crisis in the country and the ones that my family has faced.
right,
So I have been that person who have struggled all through. My struggle is also one very important thing that actually exposed me to the struggle of women in my society because I have struggled also. I have gone through lots of financial issues
mm,
and emotional issues
mm,
continuously. When your finances are not balanced, it actually challenges you continuously in life.
uh,
I have gone through that kind of financial challenge because my undergraduate days, I had to come through for myself. I had to myself through. My family was supportive in the little way they can, but it was not actually it did not suffice in any way that would have actually pushed me
right,
forward. So I had to come through for myself. I had to do petty works in school. I had to start a business that up till now I still use it to sort out one little thing or the other. Because in Nigeria, the educational system here, when you're going into it, is strictly out of passion. It's not even because of the money you get, because
right.
there's no money,
Yeah.
so I'm still trying to push that little business, which is very hectic for me. I
Mm,
combine it with my master's studies that I'm doing right now, my
mm,
master's in history that I'm pursuing right now. I have been doing it since my undergraduate days,
mm,
and I have to go to the market, do this, do that, and I will still combine it with academic work. And I still find time inside of me to know that, okay, this experience that I'm having doesn't have to kind of bring me down. I am still very much passionate about pursuing a career,
mm,
about knowing myself and knowing my society and impacting on them because I believe I'm someone who believes that at the end of the day, it's going to get brighter. The future is going to get brighter as far as you're consistent with what you do. And this is one of the things that have really inspired me because I have a very good background here in Nigeria. My professors, they have set a background for academia for me, and I really do appreciate them. I have good mentors in the department. One of the things that have drawn me to the FIU community is
uh,
because I want a much more advanced, let me
mhm,
call it advanced, learning environment, change of environment,
mm,
an international kind of setting, global kind of environment that I get to learn better, to equip myself with much more knowledge to conduct this research that I want to do. Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to be limited to my own environment. I need
right,
the whole educational, or should I say, capacity to go on that research, on the research I would want to conduct. And that is why I would need every support I can get at this point in my
right.
life because it's all coming out of passion.
Yes.
It's no parent is kind of forcing me or
Yeah,
nobody is
yeah,
push me towards anything. I am the one who have seen my society and I have said, oh, I actually want to impact my society and I want to know more about them. And even with the struggles I go through and the pain I go through in private,
yeah,
because it's never easy, all the things I go through and try to just cater for myself and have full responsibility for myself. So even with all of that, being passionate about still looking for the opportunity, better opportunities to learn
mm,
and to be able to impact my society in the way that I have imagined is still a very big part of me. And that is why right now, I kind of always talk about how I need my support, the support from everyone I can get right now, emotional, mental, financial support, especially because I can't do it alone. The little I do cannot actually take me.
yeah.
I am aiming for.
And I wanted to just share a little bit the story that you told me that really, really touched my heart was because, and I would love if you kind of gave a little excerpt before I go, like your business and you have, I think you wear a lot of them very well. And
I do.
And what was wonderful is that you talked about just starting out from the beginning, from just a little that you had, going door to door, meeting rejection after rejection after rejection, and just continue just to pray through it and just not giving up. And
Exactly.
how you've never asked anybody for anything. You've taken like even the technology that you have, the phone that you have, you've built a social media platform that has a lot of followers. You used your, your fashion sense and your interaction to reframe the idea of feminism, I think, within the Muslim context.
Yeah.
Where you're not the fashion and feminism meet in such a wonderful way to exemplify your voice. Um, yeah, so I can't say enough about how amazing those stories that you've shared are. Um, so
Yeah, I'm glad you actually remember every detail of it. So amazed, like you actually remembered everything I shared with you about. When I started, I was saying, "Oh, this is such a sensitive topic that when I tried to talk about it,
mm,
I always not want to, don't feel like going deep at the
mm,
end of the day because of how it makes me feel. But you've said it all to some extent.
yeah,
My business from the beginning started from the scratch. I had to start with buying like dozens, just a dozen, just 12 piece, going room to room in the hostel, facing rejections from people. People talk to me in the worst kind of manner, just like kind of shush me away. Some were not kind because I can't categorize everyone to be the same, but some were nice, but majority had this demeaning character, they just through try to demoralize me, but I am the strongest person I know. Like I've
mm,
always said, I was strong in all of it.
yeah,
I continue to push because at the end of the day, I feel like I am not going to settle for a way of life that I am not proud of. I am a practicing Muslim woman, and I am not going to start a kind of lifestyle just because I cannot cope with how people are accepting the little hustle I am trying to use to push myself. So I live my life in the way of Allah, how Allah has ordained. I'm a very practicing Muslim. And there are ways I have seen people live their life which I cannot do. And I also don't go around begging because I feel like when you bring down yourself to beg people continuously, it's only keep make them to match you because most of the time they can't even help. You know, a lot of the time I'm not a proud person. I can help ask for help from people who I actually see are good people and can impact my life. But I don't go around begging or even accepting favors from random people that may now feel like I owe them something in return,
mm,
especially being a very young lady at my age then, or even at my age now, because I'm still 23 years old. There are men around who throw things at me, at my face, want to do this for me, want to do that for me. But as a disciplined person, I would never accept such things because it always comes with a price. I believe that no one is coming to just throw things at you for absolutely no reason. And when you go on and you facilitate that kind of relationship, it doesn't turn against you later on. So I always hold myself in this kind of high pride and go through the whole process. I went step by step by step, and I got to the stage where my business is at right now. That it is not still a big business. It is not a big business. I've
mm,
not gotten to where I would have wanted to be in
mm,
business because I didn't plan to become a businesswoman, like a full-time businesswoman. Let me
right,
put it like that. My passion is for academia, you
yeah,
understand? But because of the life situations, I have to find my passion in business also. And
right,
had to start from somewhere, and I have tried to build towards somewhere and have this little customer base that are actually loyal to me to some extent. And those are the things that actually help me to have my life together to some extent right now, to just be able to survive,
yeah,
you know? So
yeah,
even though I don't have the proper capital up till now to establish and put things in order, but I have been able to get to that stage where at least I can survive, with
yeah,
what I have. So I've gone through a lot as a person. I
mm,
have been treated in some ways. I have been tempted as a girl
mm,
because we have men all around with the big ones with the cars. I know I have a pretty face. I actually have the attention coming all the time, but the discipline there to actually stick to my own passion and
mm,
work with what I believe with the hope that God would actually make the way at the end of the
yeah,
day. That has actually kept me going,
wow,
you know. So it has actually really, really shaped how I've lived my life and how I actually continue. I'll continue, I mean, to live my life. And when it comes to the women in the society, this struggles and all, it's actually also affects when we take it back to interfaith relationship. People like me have that struggle a lot. They find themselves in some kind of situations whereby, like I said, like the youth, you
Yeah,
know, when they go through things like this, they try to pour the anger on the people around them. They get convinced, they get used by people around them to ignite religious violence, like unnecessary dramatic issues.
right.
So these like struggles of a young person like mine has actually impacted how some kind of people have this religious relation, but I am excluded from that because I grew up with Christians. I grew up in North Central Nigeria. I have related with them, and there's no way I'm going to just wake up one morning and start having problem with Christians or be convinced by somebody, a politician or
Yeah,
someone who just wants to push an agenda to have something against the other religion. You
yeah.
know,
Since you brought that up, actually a great place to go into. We've talked a lot about youth, and especially in faith. And I think something you helped me understand that I had not understand is the kind of the state of both the different states of Islamic youth and Christian youth in terms of how they're perceiving their faith, and how you see it from a young person's perspective, just how faith is being changed. And I think you spoke a lot from the difference between what's happening in the South and then what's happening in the North from what you perceive. Obviously, I know it's a sensitive topic, but to the most as you can talk about it, because it goes kind of contrary to what we perceive in the West as how Christianity is taking over, Christianity and Islam are both taking over Africa. It seems like there's kind of some nuances based off of what you had told me and what I'd seen. Just kind of the experiences that are changing amongst youth, because I know especially amongst Christian youth, there's a lot of people who are being affected by social media and how they're kind of pulling away from the
yeah.
faith. And I think this is both on the Christian and Muslim side in the South, especially. And I kind of wanted to speak about that from what you've experienced and what you as a young person.
Yeah, as a youth in Nigeria, I think the technology has actually affected, or should I say, is playing a huge role, co-influence on how youths accept or practice their religion nowadays.
Mm,
It's easy for agendas to go, like someone who wants to spread an agenda or a particular type of agenda to go very, very viral. I know over the years, I just kind of noticed that human beings are very easy to influence. And, you can change their mind, you can influence them in ways that you didn't even know, just with a
mm,
word or
yeah,
two words. And the technological advancement lately in life has actually created this avenue for people, for information to reach people and all of that. Before technological advancement and all, when it comes to youth relations and how youth practice religion in this part of the world in Nigeria, it was much more traditional. If you remember how I
yeah,
explained it
yeah.
from the households, it's just about your household, how strict were they with religion,
Hmm.
you know, how how do they practice it, how was it deep in them. And that I think it was just like a continuous thing. If your household was that place where religion was strict and they practiced fully and with so much dedication and all of that, you see that household that the children that come out from there, that is how they also live their lives. Also, community plays a role, like I explained earlier. Places like Abuja, Nigeria, where there is this interfaith relation that without any problem, like people are just there for to thrive, get their money or just try to put their life together. They may not practice religion like strictly like those people in the core north. That's for the Muslims. you
Hmm.
know for the Christians also, they may not be as strict as those at the core eastern part of of
Hmm.
Nigeria. And we'll have the Yoruba people. Those people are the southwestern part of Nigeria, who they have always been mixed up. They have Christians, they have Muslims, they just practice it together. As in the northern part of Nigeria, that you I'm sorry, southwest part of Nigeria, you see a family celebrating Christmas and Salah. That's how they live there.
Right.
It's their way of life. But when it comes to the core north,
Hmm.
like I said, they are predominantly Muslims. So it's Islam there. And in the eastern part of Nigeria, it's just Christianity
Right.
there. In the central part or like the Yoruba part of Nigeria, it's mixed up. There is no issue.
Mm.
So when we bring it to the modern days now,
Mhm.
and this Gen Z advancements, lots of liberal movements. You can do this, you can do that. You should be on your own. Blah blah blah. All those kind of talks and ideologies that are going around now. And undeniably, it affects Nigeria too a lot. When
Mm.
it comes to the north central part of Nigeria, the Abuja and the Yoruba state and all, you see youths now saying they want to be atheist and all because they feel like, oh, the world is advancing. It's now more of technological advancement. Religion is a scam. Religion was to deceive and all of that. That religion was just an agenda of the white man. And in this part of the country, especially in Nigeria or in Africa, this agenda that has been trying to take them out of religion is this thing that they talk about. Religion is just a scam of the white man when it comes from you, that's for Christianity. And for Islam, they say the scam of the Arabians. They just wanted to colonize you, in their own way. It's not real. You're just anybody who is religious, is still stupid. Those agendas are so strong right now. Even in all social media platforms, we see people posting about it and all. And it is affecting the youths, honestly. It is, especially in the north central part of Nigeria, where there was no strict following of the religion before, in places like Abuja, Lagos, then the Southwest, the Yoruba people, a lot of them are falling for it too. This ideology of it's we don't have to, you don't have to follow it strictly. And the reason it's happening, from my own perspective, is that because the religion was not really so strict in those areas before. It was so mixed up. Because when it comes to the core northern part of Nigeria here, like I said, the initial time we discussed, they are not losing their religion here. They are not. They are not losing it, even with the Gen Z, even with the technology, even with the whole liberal movements and all of that. They are not losing it here at all because they've always had it in them. They follow it strictly, and even with the technological advancement and all of that, they are trying their best to still stick to practicing their religion. you know it's just that at the end of the day, the only little limitation there is that sometimes with the progression in life, you have to adapt to trends. But that trend is not you leaving religion, it's you adapting to technological trends in the proper way, not throwing away the religion and the morals. So I think that is the only place where the nod is maybe not blending in fully, like they're not really aware that there are actually new technological trends, new approaches to life, how to go about life, to advance yourself. Same way, and I'll bring it back to me as a woman. That is why here it's still strict on, oh, you are supposed to get married as a lady, you're supposed to do this as a lady and all of that. So even as youths, they've not really even accepted that. That's why it's still easy to judge youths from this place. But in the central part of Nigeria, it's getting more flexible and flexible. And it would have not been bad to have a flexible society. But a flexible society that is throwing away religion is the one that is bad. That is throwing away what has shaped our morals over the years is what that is very, very bad for the society. Because having a flexible society and adapting to the fact that there are technological advancements, how to go about life and all of that is way different from throwing away morals, throwing away religions, because religion and culture has shaped us, how we behave and all of that. It plays a huge role in our life at the end of the day. So throwing it all away and saying, "Oh, I just want to be on my own," would just breed like this kind of radicals that just don't know where they are actually coming from or going, because religion and culture makes you have a destination, makes you know where you're coming from and actually have a destination that you're heading to. So the interfaith religion relation in Nigeria here is, I feel like it's in it depends on on the region, honestly.
Right.
It
Right.
depends on the region strictly.
On the
And the you that's when it comes to the youth, right?
Yeah.
It depends 100% on the region, because in the regions like the North Central, like I mentioned and all,
Mm.
they are losing religion, honestly, and it's
Wow.
not really, playing any role and all of that. But
Right.
in the core north and the core east, they still very much try to practice their religion and
Mm.
all. But even though they practice it, at the end of the day, some politicians use it as their tools to still
Right.
ignite violence between the two factions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And no, that's powerful. It's interesting. I wanted to also pivot into more of like a politics because I was in a class, and two of us are East Africans, and then there's many West Africans, many Nigerians and Ghanaians. And us East Africans were sharing in East Africa currently right now, we are seeing a lot of youth rise up and actively fight the government corruption, actively fight government forces, especially in Kenya, which you probably have heard with President Ruto and everything that's going on over there. So the young people have been the most powerful and vocal force in challenging the established. They're sort of tired, as we call them, of the old elephants, or the independence soldiers, our fathers and our great or our grandfathers who won our independence, who have been in power for so long. And so when I mentioned this, a young Nigerian said, "Well, that's not happening with us." He's like, "That's something that must be with you." So I wanted to hear, are from what you are seeing, are young Nigerians, both Christian and Muslims, actively having opportunities to engage in politics and the challenges? Fighting, being able to fight against the government if need necessary, being able to protest.
Honestly, it's not here. Like the person said, we've found it hard for youth to participate in. The government has continued to use youth, but there have not been this strong organization between the youth themselves to try to bring down this corruption and all. The times that they've attempted to, it's went bad in
Mm,
some ways. I don't know, you heard about the NSAS protest. It was very popular. The NSAS. We had this other protest that went on last year. There was no serious unity among the youths, to
mm,
some extent. And even though there was unity sometimes, like the NSAS protest, there was unity and all, the government brought them down. Government fought against them. But I feel like it's because some youths are not, like, they're not really sticking together.
mm,
Some youths really just work for the government. They collect bribes. They collect money from the government. So they even mobilize the fellow youths against the youths.
wow. Okay.
It's bad. Yeah, it happens here in Nigeria. Nigerian situation is much more of like a very selfish one.
Mm,
Nigerians Nigeria have this mentality of all man for themselves. They
wow.
say all man for yourself.
Right.
That's one of the biggest issue in Nigeria is they hardly have unity among themselves.
Mm,
I'll give you an example. We are actually on strike right now. The Academic Staff Union in Nigeria,
mm,
ASU, they went on a 2 weeks warning strike. And
right.
in that 2 weeks warning strike, they've always gone on strike because of how they've been treated badly. Nigerian professors are the lowest paid professors in Nigeria.
Mm,
In Africa, I mean,
yeah.
in Africa. Also, they've been protesting and protesting and protesting about like increments and all of that and better treatment. That's why I said to come into this line is strictly by passion because there's nothing there to entice you to even come in.
Yeah.
They've been they've been protesting and all, but even inside that protest, even those who it is still affecting, some still go behind them and
Wow.
side with the government, you
Wow.
know, collect bribes. Some they even try to form some other organization. They don't really stick together firmly to the end. Because
Mm,
some people have said if they had actually used the strike and continuously without listening to the government fake promises, they would definitely have done something for them all these years. For years, over the years since 1990 something, they always keep going on
right.
strike, and nothing is being done, just false promises. So that's just an example of one faction of Nigeria. That's not even the youth, you know. Those are not even youth. So, but when it even comes to the youth, that is also a big problem. They are not very unified when it comes
Mm,
to decision making, strict decision making, policy making, and
right.
all of that. When it comes to that in Nigeria, is not very strict. So it makes the youth make these poor decisions. So they are not always together. And
Right.
the state of Nigeria too, being that religion. When it comes to interfaith studies, I think Nigeria is one place that is a big case study,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of how it's divided.
Yeah.
There's a Christian area, there's a mix, then there's the Muslim area.
Yeah.
That the amalgamation of southern and northern Nigeria in 1914 by Lord Lugard, you know, it's had that effect that up till today, those things are still affecting us.
Mm,
Because I believe if northern Nigeria was a state on its own, northern Nigeria,
right.
that's the whole of North Central, Northwest, Northeast, was a state. Because there are lots of states that are not even big as like quarter of Nigeria. Sorry,
Right.
countries, I mean not states, countries. They're
Yeah.
not as big as half of Nigeria. So if Northern Nigeria was a country on its own, then Southern Nigeria was a country on its own. I feel
Mm,
like Nigeria would be able to easily find solution to have issues, corruptions, youth issues, all those
mm.
things. It would have been very easy to do that.
Uh,
But Nigeria is divided. Nigeria is too big,
yeah.
and it is now very much divided. We have over 300 and something tribes in Nigeria. That's ethnic groups in Nigeria. That is for ethnic groups. Then for religion, we have two dominant religions, which is the Muslims and the Christians, and they are always against each other to some extent. You, this is that and that. Even those who are claiming to be liberal and Gen Z and all of that, some of them are still brainwashed up to today when it comes to trying to argue or trying to bring, trying to win an argument. They still later go down the religion line, trying to bring up a point like, oh, as if you guys religion are you guys not worst. Even those who claim to be liberal,
Yeah.
they still have something against the other religion. So the Muslims that even claim to be liberal have something against the Christian religion. The people that are even also trying to push away the religion are still also having something against the other religion. It
Hmm.
is kind of embedded into the blood of those because they have not been that, they are not supposed to be together at the end of the day.
Right.
They were supposed to just be neighbors,
Right.
but they've kind of banded them together. Governments banded them by force.
Right.
To,
Oh, okay. That's incredible. Thank you so much. That was actually an amazing, just breakdown of the challenges because I think this is something we actively both want to work together in terms of building scholarship and in terms of this. So this is really great. And just a little bit more of some personal things. I've always admired that you model boldness, modesty, intellectual strength. How do you think, just to kind of finalize things, how do you think the way that you carry yourself as a young Muslim woman can kind of showcase how faith can actually be an answer to so many of these political and social problems?
yeah, thank you. So, as a Muslim woman, I have always taken pride in myself. Very, very proud one, how I carry myself, how I dress. I believe that's help you build a very good reputation and peaceful life also, and also help you build very good cycle and community that respects, you know, and you guys share good values, morals, good morals actually. So the way I've always carried myself, I know the way I carry myself alone is enough thing that gives me a kind of inner peace. Because when you are modest, you kind of live in the way of God and you are human because it's not only about just blandly saying you're religious, or saying that I am a Muslim or I'm a Christian. When we want to talk about it from religious perspective, it's about being human, being a good person first. Then after you're a good person, then when it comes to how you portray yourself, it would always encourage the others to see the beauty in you and the religion that you represent. I always tell women that you're not limited because of religion. I
Mm,
always have that mindset.
mhm,
Religion is not limiting you to be beautiful. Religion is not limiting you to be creative. Religion is not limiting you to do outstanding things in life,
mm,
which is a little misconception that I'll just say, is it misconception? I'll call it maybe misconception. Some people or some women from this part of the world feel like, oh, or not even only this part of the world. I mean, I think maybe everywhere will feel, oh, if I'm being religious, I am local. If I'm
mm.
being religious, I'm not modern. I'm not going to be recognized in this way. I need to be flexible and all. And I disagree so hard with that. I feel like religion is even the one that makes me talk the world.
Amen.
Being modest, having a way of life, a strict way of life, because if you accept religion as your way of life, not just culture, because culture shapes to some extent, but religion is the one that defines it more because there are strict rules to religion.
Mm,
And when you allow the combination of culture and religion to shape your life, you move as a good person automatically. You move with morals, and morals can never be bad. I just feel when people talk against being modest, speak against being, it's just because they want to have like willingly do their bad characters
mm.
without being accountable. That is something I actually think about people like just talking down on religion or practicing religion and all of that. I feel like it's just an escape. Just feel like I want to just rebel and do whatever I want. just
Yeah.
because they don't want to be held accountable. Because if you don't want to rebel and just feel like you want to just do whatever you want,
Mm,
and you know that there's actually accountability in life, you have to be a good person, be human. Humanity is tops it all. Like, you just want to be human. Then why would you be scared of religion? Why would you think that the kind of way you present yourself or how you're modest is not good enough or
yeah.
is kind of limiting you in any way? I believe how I carry myself, how I dress I get more compliment than whoever dresses anyhow or don't even know how to wear
Wow.
something.
That's both.
So why? So what is actually there to admire outside that maybe out of modesty?
Yeah.
As a Muslim woman who veil of myself, I'm not talking because this is a Muslim society. Before we think, oh, it's because I'm around. No, even outside when I was at LSA, LSA is the
Mm-hmm.
is this is a central part of Nigeria. Just
Right.
this accommodates everybody. Even there, I got lots of compliments from both the Christians, the Muslims, from the whites. Like, oh, you look pretty.
Mm,
I love your dress.
mhm,
So I get nice compliments. People tell me, oh, you look beautiful. And I don't expose my body. So
mm.
why would I?
Wow.
That is why I insist strictly that it's not about it's not, you don't just want to be modest because they want to do something out of modesty because of
Mm,
their own mindset. They
right.
just want to do that because they want to rebel. But they now feel like running away from religion is the perfect escape. I don't know if it's just like those some other movements, all these other liberal movements and all. They just feel like, "Oh, religion, they meet somebody too much. So please, I don't want to be." It's just because they want to do whatever they want. So they feel like religion is a cage that does not allow them to do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
But if anyone is human and has lots of morals, in themselves and just have those morals and they have pride in them. There's no how you just fit and feel like being modest is me caging myself. I'll
Wow.
give you an example of
Yeah.
some ladies here in Nigeria, like even people that I grew up with. In my secondary school, there was there was the lady that converted to Christianity in the hostel.
Mm,
The reason she converted to Christianity is not because she read the Bible, fell in love with the Bible, and she
mm,
loves Christianity. If someone should convert to Christianity because they read the Bible, they fell in love with the Bible and all of that, I'll just see that as, oh, that is how the person's life went. But when you convert to Christianity because you think you want to be free, you
mm,
see that is just like an escape, right?
mm,
It's just an escape. It's not as if they loved Christianity or anything. She changed to Christianity because she feel like she cannot be. She don't have strength to pray 5 times a lot. She
mm,
can't do this. That they forcing her to cover her hair and all of that. Blah blah blah. So when she changed to Christianity, she saw Christianity as freedom.
mm,
You know. So it was not as if she was in love with the religion. It's not
mm,
as if she knows deep about the scriptures and all of that.
mm,
But just because she thought that place was much more easy to be free.
mm,
And now I'm going to tell you that Christianity she converted to, she's not actually a Christian.
mm.
She's just a Christian by mouth because she just feel like I want to be able to dress how I want. But you will see that kind of person, she won't go to church. She won't practice, she will not
Yeah.
really be involved in Christianity
Yeah.
because it was not because of the love of God that drew her there. It was because she
Wow.
just wanted to be free.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that happen in the society. So
Mm,
now this is for a Muslim person, right? That
yeah.
felt they saw freedom in Christianity.
Mm,
Now imagine it from a Christian perspective. That is why they now totally dump the religion.
yeah. Yeah.
But they now feel like, why do I even have to? As far as I believe in God in my heart, I'm not going to claim to be under any religion just
Yeah.
because they want to be free to do whatever they want to do.
Mm,
They feel like if I want to go naked on the road and do whatever I want to do, as far as I don't claim to be a Christian, then and I believe in God in my heart, then I'm okay. I'm
yeah.
not claiming to be under any religion. Those are the things that actually shape people and how they make their decisions.
Yeah.
But I believe strictly, like how I carry myself, the things I advocate for would really impact. I'm working towards that actually
Yeah.
because I don't want to give up on religion. I'm not giving up on religion, and I will not go. I'm not. I'm one of those people. I think we are both on the same page in that.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that would not allow those people who want immorality to win
Mm,
because it's not about living religion now. It's just
yeah.
about pushing immorality,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm one of those people who would not allow immorality to win because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, a moral society is a peaceful society.
Amen. Yeah.
So when you allow immorality to win, you are bringing down the morals of the society, and
Mm,
there will not be peace in the society at the end of the day
mm,
when everyone feels like they can do whatever they want.
yeah.
So I'm that one of those people who are advocating seriously. but I'll continue to dress how I dress and preach. We are not perfect. I'm not saying I'm the perfect one. We all have our flaws to some
Mm,
extent. I've even made mistakes that will go back to Allah and cry that, oh, please forgive me, I did this. So with that makes us human at the end of the day.
yeah.
But actively accepting that as a human being, you will make mistakes and you have to go back to God and seek for forgiveness. That is what makes you a modest or moral one.
Mm,
Not saying that, okay, I'm exclusively the best, because no one is,
yeah.
no one can be. So I'm going to continue to advocate for the good things, like, oh, you should practice your religion.
Mm,
And even though you feel like you don't want to actively practice religion, if you end up being a good person, you will find yourself even practicing religion without you knowing. Because
mm,
both religions, both Muslim, Islam and Christianity, they preach just a good life. It doesn't preach violence. None of the religion preaches violence.
mm,
None of them preaches, uh, immorality. It just kind of shapes the way of life in a simple and peaceful manner. And the thing about humans and youths, especially this my generation,
yeah.
that they don't like simplicity.
Yeah.
People don't like simplicity anymore. They want complexities, like unnecessary discourses, just making everything dramatic,
Mm,
like taking out the simpleness out of life,
mm,
just turning it out to be something unnecessarily big. So
mm,
that is the problem with youth. I would say for youth. That's why it was easy for the past generation to maybe practice religion without having so much issues and all. Although they also had their own issues. They had the time they did it in some way that affected them,
mhm.
but that doesn't warrant it, like the whole religion dying down just
Right.
because you want to be free.
Right.
So if you have morals as a person, it's just you being a good human being at the end of the day. And I'll continue to shape my people. I do my outreach, like the little outreach when there are NGOs to work with. I try my best to show up, to give lectures, to encourage the girls, tell you have to always be willing to look into a man's eyes, especially in this part of the country
Right.
where the standard is for a lady to always be too shy and all. I believe in femininity, being soft as a girl and all. I'm also just a girl at the end of the day, and I believe in being soft. But that should not limit you to where you need your voice needs to be heard. Then you keep quiet.
Yeah.
You should be willing to talk where you are supposed to talk. Don't Not because, oh, I'm a girl, I don't want to talk. I'm shy. Even though you know you can, but you just feel like, oh, I'm a girl. Let the guys do the talking. So you should always be willing to talk. So I go around educating that you, even as a Muslim woman here, have values.
Mhm.
Being a Muslim woman, being modest and all of that is not limiting you from having your own special values, from impacting your own society by having a name that belongs to you, your own name that you hold strongly. So I always encourage them that you don't have to drop your hijab or be immoral or rebel even against your family or
Yeah.
society to make an impact. No, I'm still very obedient to my parents.
Yeah.
I'm still very passionate about getting married and having children and like following the regular life, nothing much. And with that, I still want to be a career woman and have a career. So I feel like nothing is limiting me in all of it at
Wonderful,
the end of the day.
wonderful. No, that's wonderful. And just to wrap things up, just kind of if you give people some knowledge of where they can find you. I know you have some you speak this language. I'm old now, so the Instagram, and all the TikTok and everything because I know you do a lot of stuff. So I'd love for people to follow you. If you could just give a
Yeah.
few of those.
So I actually have some social media handles on Instagram. My little business page is Ambila's Closet on Instagram. On Facebook, I think I also have my business page, not very active there, just personal. That is Nabila Momo, not Nabila Yusuf. On Facebook, I use the family's name, Nabila Momo there. And on TikTok, I have my business page too. It's just a mix. I just make videos addressing the youth, trying to encourage them to do better in some characters and, specifics like that. And just myself generally. So on TikTok, I also have my account, which is Nabila or Bila's Closet too. That's the business name, the second name that is with it. So those are my social media handles. Not with much followers, but at least I have a little community, just very little that at least they see the value I bring and they do engage with it and they appreciate it. So
Nice, nice,
mm,
wonderful. So it's been such a wonderful experience as always, Nabila, working and speaking to you. You always, I feel like you are a professor already, always teaching me. I learned so much from you. And so for anybody who's listening, we are actively working to raise funds to support Nabila's journey as she looks to, God willing, be in the U.S. next year. And so she'll hopefully be a part of the FIU class of 2000, or the incoming 2026 class of PhD students. And we've been actively praying together about it and excited, and we are already working on some projects together because we both believe in peace, and we both believe in our respective religions working together and coming together and we both love our continent and our respective countries. So looking forward to seeing her. And Nabila, thank you so much as always. And we will definitely be hearing from
you
you some
so
more.
thank you so, so much. I really do appreciate the session. I really do appreciate you. It's been such a wonderful time. It's been so nice knowing you for the past few months, and I do appreciate your presence, honestly. I do appreciate your presence in my life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nabila.